Oh well, shit.
There it is.
Do it.
Yeah, we're good now. We're good.
Oh, I think I unwittingly, unknowingly, actually just pressed the button so you could hear me. I was just pressing shit. I was just going.
No, that's all good. That's all good. So I want to just kick straight into it if that's cool. We're already recording, so we're all good to go.
Yeah, man. I apologize. They only gave me 20 minutes on these on the interviews. So, and I'm a talkative guy, so we gotta go.
Trust me, I know. So the reason I want to kind of kick straight in is because I know how much you love to talk. So I actually met you last. I met you last year. At the
Okay, so
end
you know
of
firsthand.
Pardon?
So you know firsthand.
I do. But I got to meet you and very briefly talk to you, and it was an amazing experience of after the Static X show in Brisbane.
Okay.
Yeah, so you were kind of just walking around, and my friend turned around and was like, "That's Brian's over there," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" So we got a photo. You were super lovely. But something I wanted to ask you is something happened at that show that I thought was really funny. I uploaded a video of you from that show doing the shoey out of the prosthetic leg.
Oh shit. Shh. My wife's in the house.
So I got a notification that your wife saw it.
Yeah. She didn't kiss me for like a month and a half.
Because you specifically said, "Do not tell my wife," and my first instinct was, I have to put this online so his wife can see it. And my question was, how much trouble did you get into? Obviously, didn't get a kiss for a month.
I thought I was going to have to sleep in the guest room for like a few weeks. It was no, it was fine. I wasn't in trouble like that, but no, my wife wouldn't kiss me for like a month and a half, and she like hugs were kind of like a long distance thing, like it was kind of like one of like little like weird hug things from like across the room.
Yeah, but no, that was
this is the gentleman, honey. This is Lucas here is the gentleman that posted the video of the shoey last time I was.
But no, that was an incredible night. That's actually the first time I got to like experience you as a musician, like for the first time. Because the first time I actually got into you specifically was Drowning Pool.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to try and touch this later, but I've already brought it up. So the first time I actually got to experience like you, because I didn't know anything about Soil when you initially joined back in 2005. All I knew about you when you came into the band is that I was watching WWE SmackDown all the time. I'm a big wrestling kid. And you had your first song with the band was the re-record of Rise Up.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was the first thing, but yeah, it probably was. Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it was. I'm taking your word for it because it had to be right in there. Yeah.
Because I remember hearing it and I'm like, oh my God, this band rules. Who is this? And then I'm like, this is Drowning Pool. No way. And then like, that's when I kind of fell down the rabbit hole. I got into Soil. I got into all that cool stuff. So I guess with that song having been the first piece of music that you did and it being put in front of millions of people, not just in America, but around the world on the front of probably one of the biggest wrestling shows on the planet. How was that to kind of come into after having taken that little bit of time off? Was that pretty full on kind of, hitting the ground running or?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't remember the feeling necessarily with that moment as much as just the whole thing was such an experience because I was so over music, not over music, but over the music industry, and which is why I stepped away from music. 9 months prior to joining Drowning Pool, I had quit Soil, and I just didn't have a desire to do it anymore. As far as just, I love music, I love writing. That was my problem. Is like my happiness was being in the studio or being with the guys and creating music, watching a song from the original riff take its life on. It's like it's like being a parent in a way. Watching a song go from a riff to being in the rehearsal spot where everybody's adding their bits and pieces to it, and then all of a sudden, then it goes into pre-production, then it goes into the actual recording. And hopefully if you have the opportunity, it goes live first, so you can kind of get that feel of what's working with it, with the crowd and everything, and what people are getting drawn to. I love that process. So the industry side of it kicked I hated it. I was a small town guy from Indiana, and I didn't like some of the ugliness within the industry. So that moment of getting in the Drowning Pool was really just kind of that internal kind of finding my way back into it again, and finding a place in it that I was comfortable with, which it, thank God, well, it had to be. Dude, Drowning Pool was the only group of guys that, with everything that was being offered to me, Drowning Pool was the only group of guys that would have brought me back into it because they were my best friends in the industry at the time. So, really, yeah, I don't really remember the feeling necessarily with that tune. It was just kind of an overwhelming feeling all around because it was something that I didn't expect to do that all of a sudden I was doing again. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it's just, again, hats off to Stevie, Mike, and CJ because they really were the only guys that would have, well, they were the only guys that were able to spark my fire again. So
Yeah, and I definitely, I guess, found a love for the band again once you joined. I wasn't not like I loved, like I liked the second album, but I don't think I really got back into Drowning Pool until Full Circle, and then you came into it, and you just breathed this insane new life into the band that a lot of people had kind of written off, I think, because of the legacy of Dave and that. But me personally, like again, I think you just, like I said, breathed new life into the band. How did that initially come about? Because you've said that you were off for 9 months and they were the only ones that really let you back in. How did that conversation start? Like, did you hit them up and just go, "I'm missing it," or like what? How did that
no,
happen?
no, I was working at an extreme. I was me and my business partner at the time was in the process of creating this 500-acre extreme sports park in Indiana that involved a great big about 1,500 capacity outdoor uh, staging music facility as well as an indoor music facility. And I was in the process of doing that. And I still remember um, the very first phone call I got was, do you think a singer can learn 16 songs in 2 days? And my response was, I'm sure there's people out there that can do it, but if you're talking to me personally, hell no. I
Yeah,
still forget lyrics that I wrote myself. So so I was like, no, no, if you're talking about me, no. And then like fast forward to like 3 or 4 days later, I'm in Moab, Utah on the side of a mountain, um, meeting with some of the people from ESPN and stuff about some events that we had coming to some rock crawling events that we had coming to the sports park. And all of a sudden I get a phone call and I'm on the phone talking with the guys about actually doing this and then flying down to Dallas and just jamming, just kind of seeing how it felt. And I remember getting off the phone being like, all right, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna fly to Dallas. We're gonna give this a spin, see how it feels, see, you know. And I got off the phone and then I realized I was on a path that was about 3 feet wide on the side of an actual cliff face. And so the I would have been like one step to the wrong side. I would have been like an ink spot on the ground. We were so high up, but I was so involved in the phone call, I had no idea where I was until I got off the phone. I was just
yeah,
following the guy in front of. So yeah, luckily I survived that little journey and got together with the guys down Dallas. And I'm sorry, like as we said, I'm a talker, but I remember we got together and we jammed and like flew home and I was back in Indiana driving down the street, and Dave Williams' mom called me. For those that don't know, Dave was the original singer for Drowning Pool, a friend of mine. And Dave's mom called, and she was like, where you at? And I was like, I'm in Indiana. I safely pulled over the side of the road, and I was like, I'm in Indiana. And she goes, well, Ryan, she goes, one of Dave's old friends is in a band that jams below the Drowning Pool jam room. And he called me and said this past weekend they were in there rehearsing and they heard Drowning Pool rehearsing upstairs, but Jason wasn't with him. He said it was the weirdest thing was the singer that was singing for him sounded just like the guy from Soil. I was like, huh. She goes, so you're in Indiana, huh? I said, yes, yes, Joe. I'm in Indiana right now. Well, she goes, I just want you to know that if someone was going to do it, Dave would want it to be you. And once Mama Williams, put the thumbs up and there was no saying no at that point. Once those words left her mouth, it was a done deal.
that's beautiful. I've never heard that story. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a moment.
Yeah. Well, let's get a little bit, I guess, off the, the sentiment myself, because I even think, like, I'm going to cry. Obviously, you left then the band in 2011, and then now you've recently just made your way back last year. How did the conversations kind of come back to coming into the fold and doing Soil full time? Like, how did that happen?
Well, you got to understand with Drowning Pool, you've got with the three guys, you've got two Cajuns, two guys from straight from New Orleans, and one born and bred Texan and Stevie. CJ
Hmm.
and Mike both from New Orleans. You ever hear them talk, you'll hear the mix of New Orleans meets Texas, and somehow it comes out sounding like Manhattan or something. I have no idea what the hell's going on there. But with Mike anyway, CJ sounds you get CJ excited, and he sounds straight up He sounds like one of those guys from the Crocodile Hunter or something like that. The
So he turns full Aussie.
Yeah, yeah. But you've got yeah, I was thinking about Swamp People, that show you see from Louisiana. Hey, at the end of that, all that crap. The and then you got Stevie. Now Stevie is born bred Texan, which if you're not familiar, there's not a lot of words to say. Like right now, if this interview was with Stevie, it would have been over about 2 minutes after it started because all of his answers would be yes and no.
Yeah.
Um, he's not one for small talk. He's not one for talk usually. He's got a kind of we got a funny little he's got a funny little reputation going right now to where if he's not interested in the conversation, even though he's supposed to be involved in it, he will stand up and walk out of the room.
It's the Irish
So
goodbye.
yeah, I'm in a pub one night because I live here in England and been here for the last 7 years. So anyway, he starts texting, he starts messaging me one night, and since we were together, I mean, we've been apart now for like 12, 13 years at that point, and we were the only time Stevie and I would contact each other is if we were talking about American football because we're both American football junkies. So every once in a while we hit each other up about that. But he starts small talking me. He's texting me, and about an hour and a half into it, I'm like, man, something is up. This is not Stevie. So I was like, man, are you sure you're okay? He's like, yeah, everything's great. And then about 3 minutes later, he texts back again. He goes, hey, actually, what would you think about getting together and doing some reunion shows? And we didn't miss a beat. I was like, yeah, absolutely, man. This was just after COVID and everything. And I was like, yeah, I'm completely down for that. Like, I miss writing with the guys. I'd missed writing with the guys for years. And and then about 3 days later, their manager at the time called me, and it wasn't like a reunion show thing anymore. It was like, okay, we got shows coming up. So we got shows coming up like 2 weeks. You're back in the band, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, it was like a whirlwind. I'm walking around England with my headphones on, trying to remember lyrics and everything. It was awesome. But yeah, it all started from that text message, back and forth, where that message is back and forth with Stevie and I, when I just realized, man, he's being way too talkative for Stevie.
He's like, oh, he actually wants, like, yeah, he just wants you back. That's it.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Because like I said, I missed playing. I missed being on stage with the guys. I missed recording with the guys. I missed writing with the guys. They're all just phenomenal musicians. So I really missed that part of my musical existence, and so it was a no brainer for me. Even if it had been just reunion shows, I was all about just to take the stage and sing those songs that were so much a part of my life. So many years prior. It was a great opportunity that I just jumped on. But then, like I said, 3 days later, it was not a reunion thing. It was like, yeah, you're in the band again, and this is what we're doing. We got a show with Pantera coming up, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I guess speaking then on the music and that, you guys recently just dropped a new song, Revolution, which is
Yes.
the first song that you've done with the band in about 14 years. How did it kind of feel to get back into that rhythm with them and writing again? And like, did it just kind of feel like you were slipping back into old times, or did it kind of like the growth that you've had since leaving and obviously then coming back to Soil, like, did that kind of manifest into the writing sessions?
It was very easy. The first time we got together was like 2 or 3 days before the first show we had. I think it was 2 days before the first show back together again. And I went straight from the airport there in Dallas to the rehearsal spot, and it was like we never missed a beat. We were jam. Not only did we jam the songs that we were preparing for the set, but we jammed on songs that I hadn't even listened to in 13 years, and the guys hadn't played. The majority of the set the guys hadn't played in 13 years, because we decided to go with a set, the basic set of what we used to do back when I was in the band. So it was to just try to fall back as much as we could on muscle memory instead of trying to learn a bunch of new stuff. But there was a couple of Dave era songs that we never did in the past, and the band hadn't done since Dave was alive, that I wanted to do as well, that they were all about. So there was a little bit of that. But anyway, no, it was like walking in that room again and jamming those songs again. It was like we never missed a beat. It was like the only thing I laugh about it. The only thing different about being back in that rehearsal spot again was in between songs when everybody picked up their phones to check their messages. Everybody had to hold it a little bit farther away from their face and try to see what the text messages said to their old eyes.
Pretty much the same, except that
Yeah.
one little detail. Now, obviously, the tour's coming up with Alien Ant Farm next year. Is it safe to assume we can assume there's going to be some more tunes between now and the tour?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm actually that the hardest thing is, and I'm sorry, I actually kind of strayed away, but the writing has been amazing. Actually, it was CJ's wife came up to me at one point and was just like, "Thank you so much." She goes, "You guys getting back together?" She goes, "CJ has been so distant from his musical side, and that is so much a part of him that it's been very weird the past few years." She goes, "But since you guys have all gotten back together," she goes, "you can't take the guitar off of him. He's back to the man that I married." She's like, he's back, just he's on fire. And so the music, Stevie and CJ, but they were all just kicking music at me nonstop. So yes, we do have a bunch of new tunes ready to go, and the plan is to release another single or two, and then we're going to have a new release in 2025.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Speaking of the
Thank
tour
you.
as well, this is the first time that I think you will have been back with Drowning Pool in, obviously, well, I think the last tour I saw was 2010, something like that. But Drowning Pool haven't been here since 2016. So how's the general excitement been to come back and play some shows again?
It's been amazing, and the reception has been awesome. I mean, we were invited, and we're a part of all the big Danny Wimmer Presents festivals here in the States. Which your Sonic Temple, your Welcome to Rockville, your all your big guys, Aftershock, all that stuff. So being back on that circuit again, being embraced, and being just the the demand for the band. We've been busy as all get out the past 2 years since I've been back, almost 2 years now. That I've been back. We've been so busy that we've been kicking the crap out of the States, that we finally had to really make the conscious decision that 2025 we were going to concentrate on things outside the United States, because the demand for us in the States was well, everywhere really is so strong that we're jumping on. We just love being on stage together again. That we were jumping on every opportunity, but it kept us really stateside, other than like Mexico and stuff. So really, we're just concentrating on getting to, as far as being a U.S. band, being overseas, and being able to play in front of and play for the people that have allowed us to do what we do, living in these other places. So it's that's been the concentration for our 2025. Not only the new music, but also just to get to the places that we haven't been in a long time. And there was a lot of weird stuff going on business wise with Drowning Pool that the guys weren't even aware of, that has kept them from going to these places. They weren't aware there was some shady stuff going on business wise, that there wasn't even certain people in the higher up, I won't get into it, but certain people made decisions that left the band unrepresented in certain territories, such as Australia and Europe and the UK and stuff. And the band wasn't even aware of it. They just thought they weren't being asked to go to these places. They didn't realize that they were desired to be there, but there was no representation on the Drowning Pool side of things to get to make the connection to get them there. So
For
it wasn't
sure.
until we got back together and I started being living in the UK myself, being more aware of that, and looking into it, that we realized that that was something we needed to fix. So when we fixed it, all of a sudden all these opportunities have came about. So we're able now to be like 2025, man, we're getting to Australia, we're getting to the UK, we're getting to Europe, we're getting to Asia. We're going to hit these places that we haven't been able to hit in a long time, and you know, spend some time with the people in those places that have allowed us to be us. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm really excited you're coming back. Not only just like Drowning Pool in general, but yourself as part of Drowning Pool, because again,
Thank you.
that was such a big formative moment, I guess, of like again, I love the Dave stuff. I really gravitated towards the two albums that you did initially with the band, and to know that there's new music coming, like your era is probably my favorite era of the band. So the fact that I didn't get to see that initially, and then you guys are coming back, and I get it. I feel like I'm making up for lost time, which is weird because the whole other thing as well was like Alien Ant Farm is exactly the same thing. It's just that's a band that I never thought I'd ever see, and they're coming back. And not only that, I get you on a double header. So that's a killer tour. Well, thanks so much for your time. Obviously, like I said, you're going to be here in February, hitting all the major capital cities. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's fantastic to actually finally get to sit down and have a proper chat and not,
and no shooting was involved.
No shoeies involved this time, so we just got to make sure that one doesn't happen at the Princess. That's all.
No, I want to come home. I want to have a home. Yeah. No, Lucas, thank you very much for your time, man, and I appreciate you keeping this thing rolling. Like we talked about before, they didn't allow us much time together, man, but I appreciate every second you've been able to give me today. So thank you.
No, I appreciate your time as well. Only thing I ask, feel like I do in that set, because I will be losing my mind if you play that song live.
I don't think CJ would let a set go by without it. So
really,
yeah.
That's
one of his. That's one of his jams, yo.
Yeah. Listen, I jam it all the time, and like even like the last little while you haven't been part of the band, it still sits in the set list. I play it in the car every time it comes on. I just feel myself thrashing the steering wheel. So, yeah, getting that live is going to be a dream come true. But cool. I won't keep you up. But all the best, my friend.
Take care.